Hi everyone, welcome back. In my last video I spoke about anxiety during my high school years, and the one before that I spoke about anxiety in early childhood and primary school. So today, kind of carrying on from that, I'm going to talk about my experience with anxiety at university. I don't think it will be too long, but yeah, just thought I'd share sort of my experience throughout the years. So I went to a university called Stellenbosch in South Africa. It's in a really beautiful wine region, and that was quite a big step for me choosing to go there because it was leaving home. So I chose to go there. I chose to study a BSc Human Life Sciences with psychology because I've always been interested in the body and the brain, and given my history of anxiety and how they kind of interlink. So I think it was a good degree in terms of just improving my understanding of that. So I moved there. I didn't want to be in a residence, university residence, just because I really value my own space and my own time. And I didn't want to have to be pushed into social gatherings, basically. So my parents were very kind enough to put me up in, we call it digs, so just student housing that's independent from the university. And that was just the best place ever. I had my own room, I had a bathroom that I shared with people, and then we shared a kitchen and lounge area. There was a balcony, so we could have, I could sit outside, get some sunshine. So yeah, that was a big blessing for me, just to be able to have my own space there. It was quite a big unknown going to uni, like not knowing how I would cope with such a huge change. Obviously, high school, you're there for 5 years. And so even though it was a hard time, at least it was a hard time that I was familiar with. And so when I went, I was really excited, but also it was daunting. So I arrived there, and just before, I'd actually been put on a different medication. I'll make another video talking about everything that I've tried to improve my anxiety over the years. But basically, I was put on something called sertraline, and I was in an adjustment period where you have to wait for the meds to work. Basically, in my initiation period, or sort of the introductions to university, that medication worked so well for me. I was so relaxed. I could all of a sudden sit in the middle of a lecture hall, in the middle of a row, and I wasn't feeling anxious at all. So that was amazing. I can remember the exact room and just remember thinking, wow, imagine if this is what my life will be like from now on. And so yeah, it was exciting. I was meeting new people. I was actually feeling quite outgoing, and I was making lots of friends. And so my first year was pretty good, actually. I was happy. I was going to the gym most days. I was making friends, spending time with friends. I found a nice church that I liked. And then in the second year, my granny passed away. And from then on, I think that's what sort of triggered it to get worse, the anxiety. So the sertraline dosage that I was on stopped being effective. So I spoke to my psychiatrist, and we upped it to a double dosage, and that didn't really work, if not made it worse. So yeah, from then on, I feel like it was just a battle to find medication that worked for me, still try and be active and go to the gym, even though I was having a lot of anxiety there and panic attacks. I was having to leave lectures halfway through because I was just so anxious. I couldn't sit there and focus. So yeah, it was a big adjustment, and it was quite sad, especially considering my first year had been so good. So yeah, I think it was during my second year that COVID started. Yeah, so that was kind of a blessing in disguise when I got to be at home. But I did miss everything at uni. But yeah, it was challenging sitting in lectures. I bought myself a dot-to-dot book, and so I would literally be trying to focus on doing the dot-to-dot so that I could half listen to the lecture, half do my dot-to-dot without running out of the room and missing the whole thing entirely. Exams were also quite challenging because basically, again, that was a time where you're in this huge lecture hall and you have to be quiet and you have to be focused and you can't just leave. And so, yeah, that was also a challenge. I would put essential oils in my stationery bag to try and like sniff them into relaxing me while I was writing. I also did deep breathing most of the way through the exams. And then also, I remember one exam, it was so traumatic. It was Genetics 314, I remember, and I don't know if you can hear the police siren in the background. Anyway, it was Genetics 314, and I already sucked at genetics. It wasn't one of my strong suits, but I was feeling really anxious that day. And I remember sitting down, I started, and then all of a sudden I just felt myself go pale, sweaty, hot, shaky, like the page, obviously a white page, was so bright I couldn't read anything on it. I went and I got one of my tranquilizers that was supposed to help me in a panic attack, and that didn't even work. So eventually I went to the lecturers and the people at the front and I said, sorry, I just need to be outside for a sec. And then I asked them, like, can I maybe just write my exam outside here on the floor, just within, you can still see me, but I just can't be in there. And they said, sorry, we can't. So I had to pick myself up, go back in and try and pass my exam. I think I got like 51%, because obviously when you're anxious, everything that you've studied goes out of your brain because you're just in like fight or flight mode. So yeah, that was traumatic, but somehow I made it through university. I made some really good friends, and even though, because I went back again after COVID for third and fourth year, even though I had anxiety throughout, I still have a lot of fond memories. I was still able to do fun things, and yeah, I have a really good experience of university despite the anxiety. So I think that's just to encourage anyone going through that at the moment. Like, you might feel like it's hard, but it is hard. But try and think about the positives and focus on things that are making you happy. Try and keep pushing yourself into things that make you feel uncomfortable, because sometimes you end up breaking through and then you feel so proud of yourself, and then that becomes a really special part of your life. For me, the gym was one of those. It just kept going, and eventually it was fine. But yeah, it was a sad time as well. I remember times of trying to be involved with church events and having to go run into the bathroom, and I would cry and I'd just say to God, why? People have prayed for me, I've prayed for myself, I'm doing everything that I can. Why am I not feeling better? And I didn't get an answer, and I'm still waiting for an answer. But I do feel like we have to just trust that there's a process in our pain, and there's a reason for it. And one of these days I'm going to find out why. Maybe this YouTube channel will be it, I don't know. But yeah, that's pretty much my university. I passed, woo, got a degree, I got a second degree, and now I'm working, and that requires a whole separate video. But yeah, hopefully this was interesting to anyone, and especially helpful for people who are going through the same thing. Just know that you're not alone, and we'll get through this together. But yeah, enjoy the rest of your week. Take care. Bye.